What is going on, YouTube community? Welcome back to the CryptoLabs Research YouTube channel. My name is Colin. I am flying solo today, so you get all of me in a nice whiteboard session. Now, I did a video and a walkthrough in the UIG a couple days ago, but I really wanted to bring it to you here as well because it is really important to be able to communicate and have a vision for what you're building and what you're creating. And I think in the UIG, one of our main pillars is clarity on that overall mission and overall strategy, ultimately, your overall strategy of what you're trying to build and create. And so, what I wanted to do is kind of share with you what I'm doing. Not necessarily for you to copy, but more so as a lane of inspiration in case you want to map this out for yourself. Now, I want to sit here for a sec and talk about the importance of having an overall strategy. Without a strategy, I had a mentor. Actually, let's start here. I had a mentor quite a few years ago who said that if you don't have a clear vision for what you're doing, it's very similar to driving on a highway while it's pouring rain and not having the windshield wipers on. It's like you can't quite see where you're going, and it's like you might fall off the path, you might take the wrong turn, et cetera, et cetera. And so for me, what I'm trying to do here is to communicate that crypto in DeFi is fast. It moves fast. There's a lot of moving parts. But what I don't want you to do, and I don't want you on YouTube or in the UIG, what I don't want you to do is to throw money, to throw crypto assets into random adventures, right? I have a stack of poker chips here. And it's what I used to do, and I'm guilty of this, is what I used to do is take these poker chips and just put mini stacks here and there throughout the DeFi world and just hope, right? Hope that it returns me a nice profit. And that is not a recipe for success, especially if we want to treat this like a business. And so having an overall strategy and a breakdown of what you're doing and where your money is flowing, I think could really move your business venture forward. And so to talk about this for a little bit, income into crypto assets. Now, for me, I know my burn rate, meaning I know how much money is going out the door in my fiat, right? Not crypto necessarily yet, but I know how much capital is moving out of the door in my personal life in the form of expenses. Now, I call that a burn rate. I didn't come up with that. I forget who I learned it from, but it's a burn rate, right? And I also know how much income I have coming in. So I know how much is coming in. I know how much is going out. And what I do is I take a certain percentage of that capital and I move it over into crypto assets. Now, where is that going? And if you're new to the YouTube channel, welcome, because this is a great strategy. Number one is I have a bull run bag. I have a cold storage holding where I'm holding these assets in a single exposure environment to allow for a price appreciation. And so I'm holding, I actually calculated yesterday, I put it in the UIG, 22 different assets. Maybe I'm addicted to this stuff, but I have 22 different assets that I am holding in my cold storage wallet and waiting for price appreciation. Right? That's number one. That's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is my DeFi portfolio, my DeFi positions, which I view as cash flowing businesses. Now, I like to think of it, and it just gets me excited whenever I open up a new DeFi position or I on ramp fiat into crypto into my DeFi positions here, that I like to think of it as like a franchise. Like I'm opening up a new location in my franchise empire. And so for me, I like to think of it. I live in Texas, so I like to think of it as like a Chick-fil-A location, or maybe it's a laundromat or a car wash, right? So think of your different DeFi positions as different locations within your franchise business. And so I get excited when I on ramp fiat into a new DeFi position because it feels like, oh, my business is continuing to grow. I'm adding in a new location that is going to be generating me rewards. Now, where do these rewards come from? Very quickly. The vast majority of my positions are in liquidity pools. And so I take two assets, not to go too deep into this, but I take two assets that I really want to hold and want to earn more of, I guess, right? Long term. So that's how I start, right? I find two assets that I would really want to hold long term. I provide them as liquidity inside of a liquidity pool on a decentralized exchange. Users are swapping these assets back and forth. So ETH and USDC, as users come to that DEX and they swap these two assets back and forth, they pay a fee. That fee comes to me. And so what I like to do is I like to set up a series of DeFi positions with assets that I really want to hold long term that generate rewards in more of those assets. It's amazing, right? And now I take those assets and you can move them into a few different places. For me, my bull run bag, my cold storage wallet is an important place for me because I want single asset exposure, meaning no impermanent loss I don't have to worry about, where now I can see the price appreciation over the next 6 to 24 months or however long it takes, right? Again, I'm thinking long term, long time horizon. So I can take the rewards that I'm earning, move them into my bull run bag holdings, so my cold storage wallet. And that's what I've been doing for the last 8 months is been pretty much the only strategy that I've been doing, which is just taking the rewards, moving them into my cold storage wallet. Another thing that I like to do and that I'm doing now, and again, not financial advice, just as an example, is I have a Neon and Sol position on Orca. Been in this for months. I'm taking the rewards of my Neon, converting it to USDC, and then I'm taking that USDC and that Sol, and I'm adding a new DeFi position. And so to kind of zoom out again a little bit, is you can have these cash flowing DeFi positions that fund a bull run bag, fund your cold storage holdings for the bull run for price appreciation. You can use the cash flow to create another location. So it's kind of think of it as like, I have a Chick-fil-A location that's producing this much in cash flow. And by the end of the month, I'll be able to cash flow and open up another Chick-fil-A location. That's kind of like how I like to view it, right? And so for me, I like to fund my bull run bag. I like to fund a DeFi position, and I like to lend. Now, I kind of mapped it out here where let's say positions 1, 2, and 3 are funding my bull run bag. DeFi position 4 is funding DeFi position 6. DeFi position 5 is now funding lending. So again, another example could be that I'm in a Arrow wrapped ETH pool right now on Aerodrome, and I have that staked so that I'm earning more Arrow tokens. Now, I like Arrow. I want to hold it long term. So for me, I can do two things. I can either bring it to my bull run bag, like I'm doing with these other positions, or I can put it into a lending protocol. So one of the ones that comes to my mind is Moonwell on Base. And it's been fluctuating between 35 and 45% APR in terms of rewards on Arrow. And so for me, what I like to do is I like to have a DeFi position that cash flows me rewards and then have those rewards work for me if they can. And so I like to take that Arrow, put it into a lending protocol, and now I'm earning on the rewards that I've earned, right? So earning on earning on earning. And Lucas talks about that concept a lot. Another thing that you could do is that you can have, uh, how do I say this here? When you are in a bull run bag and you're in lending, those are single asset exposure. So staking, liquid staking, bull run bag holding, and lending are all single asset exposure, meaning that if the price moves up and down, you're just exposed to that one asset. I like that when there's big price movement upwards. What I don't necessarily love is being in a liquidity pool when prices are moving up and to the right drastically. And so that is why I have a specific focus on bull run bag and lending as opposed to always compounding back into my DeFi positions because I want to have single asset exposure for price appreciation. I get that question a lot, and the UIG is why not just compound it? Why not take the rewards and compound it back into this position? And I think it's a very fair strategy. But for me, I think of these as cash flow machines, which fund my investments. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, one last thing I wanted to talk about is as the price appreciation. So now as the prices move, let's say in the next 6 to 24 months, prices start moving up. Well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have a ladder out strategy for my 22 assets that I have. And so as the price moves up at certain segments, what I like to do is I like to take that profit and then move it into lending. Now, you don't have to do this, but it's just something that I'm going to be doing is as I take profit, I'm taking profit in stablecoin. And I don't want to just hold the stablecoin on the sidelines. I want to put it to work. So I can take the profit in stablecoin, move it into various lending protocols, which now generate a reward for me, a return. And what I'm going to be doing from there is taking the rewards and returns that I earn from my lending efforts, and I'm going to move it back into fiat to fund a series of different things. And I'm not going to go into all that right now because I'm running out of time. I want to respect your time here. But that's what I'm doing. So instead of taking profits and just moving it right off chain, what I'm doing is I'm lending it so I can have the goose still. I can maintain the golden goose and only use the eggs from that lending protocol to then fund other business ventures and other things that I'd like to do. So summarize one last time. I have my fiat. I convert it into crypto assets that I'd like to hold long term. I dollar cost average every single week into my bull run bag. And I take the crypto assets and add and, increase my exposure to different DeFi positions. As an example, I have 5 here that are cash flowing. You can take the cash flow and you can add it to your bull run bag. You can take the cash flow and add it to new DeFi positions. You can take your cash flow and add it to different DeFi services altogether, like lending or staking or liquid staking, et cetera, et cetera. Then as prices appreciate, ladder out, take profit, move those profits. I am moving it back into DeFi, but into a single asset exposure, going to be stablecoin, into lending protocols, and then the rewards that I get, the eggs that I get from this golden goose will be then converted into fiat to fund a series of different things outside of DeFi. And so I have this nice little flywheel effect here that I am employing. So again, yours does not have to look like this. This is just an example. It's something to inspire you, to show you that the more clarity you have on the system you have mapped out, the easier it will be to make decisions. So with that being said, there's a lot more where this came from in the UIG. If this is something that you really want to dive more into, I have this all mapped out in my strategy section here inside the portfolio review sections in the UIG. So if that's something that you would want more of, I would love to see you in there. I'd love to work with you. I go live a couple times a week and would love to continue to work with you. So with that being said, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.